Irregular Joe verbs in the present tense. By now, you should have a pretty good understanding of the present tense, and that should include not just irregular verbs, and a good example of an irregular verb would be the verb ser. Ser is to be, and it's irregular because if you look at the conjugations of it, it's soy, eres, es, somos, son. And those conjugations, those forms don't follow a pattern. Because they don't follow a pattern, we call it an irregular verb. And you should also have a pretty good understanding of regular verbs. Regular verbs are those verbs that end in AR, ER, and IR, and they follow that pattern that goes with those endings. So for AR, the pattern would be dropping the AR and adding O for yo, as for tú, a for él, ella, usted, and so forth. Then you should know the ER and IR for those as well. Irregular Joe verbs as a topic, though, is somewhere in between the two. So they are regular verbs. However, the Joe form is going to be a little bit weird. So let's get to it. If you want a good definition for your notes, this is a great one to really fully understand irregular Joe verbs. So irregular Joe verbs are conjugated like AR, ER, and IR verbs. The only difference is that the yo form won't follow the pattern of AR, ER, and IR verbs and will be irregular. And I'd like to illustrate that for you a little bit. So if you look at this chart below, you should actually know these already, is the AR endings, the ER endings, and the IR endings. So if I have an AR verb like comprar, what I would do, and comprar means to buy, if I want to say I buy, I would drop the AR and say yo compro. If I want to say you buy, I would drop the AR and say tú compras. He or she or you formal buy, compras. We buy, compramos, and they buy, or the last one, y'all buy, compran. And same would be for an ER verb, a verb that would end in ER, and a verb that would end in IR. Now, the verbs you're about to learn do this exact same thing. They follow this pattern, except for some reason, the yo does not get followed. So they're going to have their own thing. So basically it's going to be from tú all the way down to ellos, ellas, and ustedes. You're going to follow the pattern you already know, but the yo form is going to be a tad different. There are 11 total, so as you go, make sure you leave room to write 11 of them in your verb charts. So allow me to give you a little bit of a visual that might help you more visual people understand this concept. So, hacer, if I tell you that it is an irregular Joe verb, what I am telling you is that all of the forms are going to follow that ER pattern because it is indeed an ER verb. They're going to follow that ER pattern except the Joe form. So, hacer is to do or make. So, if I want to say you make, I would say haces. He or she makes, hace. We make, hacemos. They make, hacen. And then our odd man out is going to be our Joe form. And for our Joe form, we have hago. It doesn't follow that pattern at all. If it did follow that pattern, and you look at hacer, it would drop the ER and just place an O there. But if you notice, that's not what hago is. Hago is not hago. So I like to think of it as a little game of duck, duck, goose. And I know that seems a little ridiculous, but all of them are following a pattern, all of them are ducks, and then we have to have our odd man out, who's our goose. So if that visual helps you, good. If not, just ignore these last couple slides. Verb number 1 to add to your notes is dar. So I do have them numbered 1 through 11 so you can keep track of them. Dar is an AR verb, and it means to give. So if I want to say I give, I say yo doy, and if you notice all the other ones follow the normal AR pattern, and then doy is a little bit different. Doy, das, da, damos, dan. As I present them to you, I'm going to say them in the event that you want to practice pronunciation along with the video. You can go back and practice your pronunciation of these verbs as you go. So again, if I want to say we give you a present, you would choose damos. 2 through 7 I've put under the same category because if you notice they are all ER verbs. Therefore, the pattern is going to be followed for all of these bottom forms except for the yo. So you should by now have the idea that these same patterns are going to be followed except for the yo form. I'm going to go through them and say them so that you can practice pronunciation. Hacer is to do. Hago, haces, hace, hacemos, hacen. Poner, to put. Pongo, pones, pone, ponemos, ponen. Traer is to bring. Traigo, traes, trae, traemos, traen. Conocer is to know. Conozco, conoces, conoce, conocemos, conocen. Saber is another form of the verb to know. Sé, sabes, sabe, sabemos, saben. Ver is the verb to see. Veo, ves, ve, vemos, ven. Number 8 is the IR verb. That is an irregular Joe verb, again, following the IR conjugations down here, but then the Joe form decided to do its own goose thing and is all by itself. So as I go through it, you can also practice pronunciation with this one. Salir is to go out. Salgo, sales, sale, salimos, salen. And the last 3 are all stem-changing verbs. Now, if you remember, stem-changing verbs, there are several types. There are O to UE, E to IE, and E to I. The ones I'm giving you are either E to I or E to IE. Now, stem-changing verbs are verbs that their endings are the same as the patterns of AR, ER, and IR, but for some reason the stem, not the ending, has a little extra change. So these verbs still follow that change, except of course for the Joe form. And they are venir to come, vengo, vienes, viene, venimos, vienen. Tener to have, tengo, tienes, tiene, tenemos, tienen. And decir to say, digo, dices, dice, decimos, dicen. And that concludes our lesson for irregular Joe verbs. Good luck!